Listen, everyone, we are so glad you've joined us for this second installment of Scott Scovill. As always, I did not know this man when he came in, and I'm learning about him as I go, right along with you. It's fun, which is why we do it. If you missed his first episode where he outlines his book Tenacious, go listen. Then pop back here to get deeper on the purpose of his book and stay till the end to hear about his journey to a super secret location where he took an unknown amount of mysterious substances, all for the beautiful and worthy work of self-knowledge. I'm your host, Bridget Denahan, and I'm very glad we keep tissues in the studio. Obviously, you're a very successful business person, but you didn't start out that way, and you worked hard for it, it sounds like. Just getting through your stuff. I think that is so important for people to share. It's important for people to hear. It's important for people to read. When you imagine someone who's read this book and puts it down, what are two things that you hope they come away with?
I hope that they come away willing to try. Try is one of my favorite words. I wrote a song called Try. I'm a singer. That's one of my hobbies. Willing to try and fail and just work towards something. And I think the most interesting life is a life of effort, to me at least. As I'm pretty driven, but I enjoy trying. Like if I'm in the fight and actually working towards a dream or a goal, I feel good about myself every minute of that. If I'm sitting on the couch and not doing it, I don't necessarily feel as good about myself. I like to accomplish things that are interesting, and I like to work towards, and I use this. I'm also a show designer. I dabble in it. I did a bunch of it a long time ago. I still do it for Brad Paisley. I'm his creative director. And I always tell my artists, look, I've got an hour and a half, 2 hours. I'm not trying to give people a great overall show. Anybody could do that. You do that just by getting on stage. I'm trying to give them moments. I need 3 or 4 moments, because the next day, if somebody goes to the office and someone says, "Oh, how was the Brad Paisley show?" and someone who saw it said, "Oh, it was great." Well, that's great, but that person doesn't want to go, maybe because they didn't want to go in the first place enough to go. But if they come in and go, "Oh my God, Carrie Underwood showed up. I think it was her."
There was this one moment
we
where
used to do like a virtual reality thing, like people believe she was there, or Brad jumped in the water and swam off stage. Like, how the hell did that happen? We did that one year. You tell them these moments, and then people go like, "Oh wow, I wish I was there."
give them a little zhuzh.
Give them something, right?
A little
And
extra.
I think that's an interesting way to look at life. Like, you can have a great life. You wake up every morning, have your favorite cup of coffee, sit in the sunshine, listen to the birds chirp, go through life with people you love and all that. But 10 years of that later, and I ask you, what'd you do in the last 10 years? And you'd be like, I had a great time. But I think it's more interesting to say, like, well, gosh, in the last 10 years, I released a book. That was crazy. And went all in on trying to share myself with people. And then, it'll be announced by the time your podcast comes. So I'm Brad Paisley's opening act for some of his European shows.
Really?
So let's see, June 11th, it'll be my first show in Allison, Norway. I was an artist. Like I did these things. I fell in love. I bought a home. Like the big things are the things that when you're sitting in your rocking chair, right?
Yeah.
They're the things that make you look back and go like, yeah.
I did that.
And so I want to have my coffee in the sunshine and the warm, normal days, but I also want to sit there with my coffee in the sunshine thinking about some of the crazy things
and remembering when you opened for Brad Paisley.
Yeah. And so I just want to have the most interesting life I can have. And I want that for everybody. And so often we don't do things because they're beyond us, but are they? Like if you asked me, 20 years ago, if I could ever stand up and sing in front of anyone, I would say no. I was told in high school I couldn't sing. In grade school, I couldn't sing. And I believed it because there were so many things I wasn't good at, and I didn't like being told I was wrong, so I got away from it. And I didn't sing out loud in front of anybody until I was drunk at a party in Norway in my 40s. And I started singing late night along with the song Hurt, Johnny Cash's rendition of it, which I love.
You picked a doozy.
Yeah. And they turned the radio off and pointed at me and said, keep singing. And I kept singing a cappella. And there was a band there, great friends of mine. I have a band called Spinning Wheels. And they go, we're calling you on stage tomorrow night. And I'm like, no, you're not. And they're like, yeah, we are. And I was like, oh, I did it. And I thought I hopped off stage to polite applause. I run to the barmaid there. I was sober, hungover. Like it was just, I was a mess. I don't drink anymore, by the way. But
Congratulations.
Thanks. I wasn't really an alcoholic. I just had motivations. You'll read about them in the book. But getting healthy became really important a couple of years ago.
Beautiful.
I almost died. Anyway.
Don't do that.
I almost died. It's okay to almost die. Just don't die.
Yeah.
Almost dying will teach you all kinds of things. Dying will teach you one thing. But I go to the barmaid, please give me all the beer. And I'm ruminating over it. I'm thinking, why did you do that? That was so embarrassing. No one needed to hear that. Like, ugh. And I look up at her because she's not moving, and I'm like, please get me my beer.
The beers.
And she goes, I have goosebumps. And I'm like, what? Turns out I can sing. You know, it might not be for everybody, but it's for enough people that the band hopped off stage after their set break and they said, join our band. I'm like, what? They're like, join our band. I'm like, join a band in Norway. That's dumb. And they're like, yeah, so you're dumb, so let's go.
So let's do it.
And I'm like, shit, I am dumb. And there's another whole story on why I did that, but we don't need to get into that. But I thought about it for a little bit, and I said, okay. And they all cheered, and they're like, all right, that was dumb. You really said yes. And I said, yeah. Have you meant it? And they're like, sure. And I started flying to Norway. First time I flew to Norway, I flew to Norway to get up on stage and sing one song at a festival.
Oh, my goodness.
But it went okay. And then I started going and doing more. And then I was a guest vocalist for Spinning Wheels, a great bunch of guys, Norwegian. And then Brad asked me to be his opening act. Because we were getting some traction. He and I were on a festival together. And that's how he found out. I didn't tell anyone in Nashville I was singing. And then they put me on a festival, and I was like, oh, God, I'm opening for Brad technically. I'm on the same stage as Brad before him.
Yeah.
That was fun to tell him. He thought I was kidding.
So obviously that's a big, when you said a few moments ago that you're all about creating these moments when you put on a live event. Obviously, being asked to sing, being an opening act, those are big, like little sprinkles of zhuzh in the sauce of life. What are some other moments recently? They can be big, they can be small, that you can point to and say, not just writing a book, which these all sound like really big things that most people don't even give themselves the opportunity to accomplish in their lifetime. What's something?
Let's talk about that. Why don't people? Not to deflect from me, but let's talk about the listeners.
Yeah.
Why don't you do these things? And for me, I know it was self-doubt. Like I was so afraid of failing, and I was pretty sure I was going to. And I was right. I was going to. So why do things that you're going to fail at? Well, because they teach you things. I quote, I wish I knew Ed Sheeran and got him in the book because I just think he's an amazing human. But I quote him in the book, and Ed says one of his famous things, he loves failure. He's like, people don't talk enough about failure. So I quoted, I think it was him from an interview, and he goes, people don't talk about failure. Like everyone wants to hear about your success. No one wants to hear about your failure. Failure is where all the magic happens. And he just goes into this whole rant about why it's just so important to fail. And I didn't feel that way. And so when I was flunking out of college, failure was death. It was a wall. It was like something you didn't get around, and it just proved that you were as bad as you thought you might be, right? You were told you were. And the book carries you on the journey of how even a really broken kid like me found something he loved enough, the music industry, and started trying. And that story's crazy. I'll just tease that the way I got in the music business is freaking nuts. So read about it.
Little kismet-y.
It's crazy. It was a really horrible idea, and it somehow worked. But, I started trying, and I found that it wasn't so bad, and it actually felt good to try. And at the end of this huge 5-week thing I did where I was desperately trying to get on the U2 tour, I failed.
Need fresh content like social and web assets, copywriting, and more? Visit freshconsumables.com.
And I didn't die. And I was like, okay, I feel awful now. But weeks later, I still felt awful. Mm-hmm. And I thought back to how it felt while I was trying, and I thought, I didn't feel so bad.
You're a journey
maybe
guy.
I should try.
You're a journey guy, too. Earlier, you said, I'm happiest when I'm working towards something.
Yeah.
You meet people that are, and I would count myself among these people, where it is the box I can check. It is the end result for me, because the whole time is suffering. I hate it. I hate the process. I hate it the whole time. As a creative person, I don't like it. I'm in pain. And then once I've done it, I'm like, oh, thank God I did that.
Yeah.
It sounds like, from hearing you speak, and I don't want to make an assumption, you like the journey.
I do. It is the journey.
I
don't know if you knew
that.
this about me, but someday, eventually, I'm going to die.
Same.
You're going to die too?
Yeah, we're all going to
I
die,
bet a bunch
man.
of the viewers are too.
It's beautiful.
Well, stop listening if you're not going to die. But if you're going to die, just know that, there's things you try and accomplish, but you got to enjoy the path.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, just enjoy every step of it. Find something you love, which, you're not going to be tenacious if you don't have something you love.
I love this.
But whatever it is for you, it could be something simple. It could be, it could be as simple as I'm going to go out there and put myself out there and get a girlfriend or a boyfriend. Or it could be, I love cooking. Why don't I take cooking classes? Or it could be, I'm sitting here watching tennis. Why don't I learn to play tennis?
Yeah.
Not that that's a very popular sport. I don't know why it popped into my head.
What is it? Pickleball.
But whatever
these
it
days?
is, and for me, there's been a lot of little things like that. But I come from the point of view, I know what it's like to not try and where it takes you. And in my case, I was waiting tables at a Howard Johnson's on the side of the highway. That is not the dream life I was looking for.
If you look at your life, can I ask, if you don't mind, how old you are right now?
Yeah, 57.
You're 57. At what age did you really start trying?
19.
Okay.
Yeah, and really leaned in. There was a moment of inspiration.
That's young. What was your moment of inspiration?
All right, here we go. This is the story that everybody gets. But
I want it too. I'm jealous.
Flunking out of college. A girl I really cared about was killed in a car accident. Been on a date with her. We're going to go on another one. Friend of the family. And that's crushing. She and I weren't super close, but when you're immortal when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Until somebody your age dies.
Yeah.
And that it was really impactful for me. And I'm flunking out of college. I'm failing. I am failing.
What were you studying?
I wanted to be an electrical engineer only because that's all I could think of. But I had no career goals. I had no,
Maybe not the right thing for you, turns out.
Turns out. Although I do love technology. But no, so glad I took the path I did. But I was waiting tables at this Howard Johnson's 3 months into being really depressed, flunking out of college. Sandy's died. And this silver bus pulls in with a space shuttle on the side of it. And I'm like, I'm a NASA nut. I love space. That's why I have 2 astronauts in my book. And I run up to the hostess and I go, I want to wait on them. Because I thought they might have something to do with NASA. I didn't know what a tour bus was. And they get off and they're all
cute,
wearing black and they have long black hair. And I'm like, they don't look like they work for NASA. So they sit in my section and I'm like, so what's the deal with the bus? I take their drink orders and I'm like, so what's the deal with the bus? And one of them in a thick Irish accent goes, we work for the band U2. And I go, huh. And I walk back into the kitchen and I'm like, what? Now, U2 at this point, the Joshua Tree had just hit. So they were having a moment that was not as big as the Beatles, but that's what people were saying. It's like the biggest moment since the Beatles. It was a massive moment in music for a band.
Yeah.
And they were my favorite band before that moment. And when that all hit from them, that album was so incredibly good. And music was where I'd been hiding and always had been where I hid. And I always believed music was very personal to me. And I'm like, well, how can you work? What do you mean? You work for U2? I got questions. So I go back out. I'm like, I'm sorry. What do you mean you work for U2? Like, I would have thought you had to be Bono's cousin to work for U2. Like, I don't get it. And the one
You
guy
all
laughs.
are Bono's cousin.
And they laugh, right? And the one guy goes, well, Scott, we put on the show. We do the lights, the sound, the production. And he goes, and the 7 of us are the very best in the world at what we do. And he puts his arm around the guy next to him and goes, and this is AJ. He's Bono's cousin. So, AJ, if you're listening, yes, I continue to tease you with that story. AJ and I still talk. He's great.
Stop it.
But yeah, I was like, whoa. And that just blew me away and took me out of my depression and my shell. And
That was your first spark of
spark.
this
I call
is
it
a
a
thing.
spark moment in my chapter.
Ooh.
Yeah, sparks. Well, you got to spark tenacity. You got to have a dream. And I was very funny. Apparently, I was very quiet for 3 months, and then this happened. So I was over the top, and they were laughing and couldn't eat. And finally, they're like, "Just come to a show." And I went to the show, and they were so kind, and I had a million questions. And they were like, "Do you want to come back tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Yes." So I came back the next day. Mind you, the shows were 3 hours away. They were in Foxborough, Massachusetts. I grew up in upstate New York, and went home, came back the next day. They're like, show up early and we'll show you around a little bit and get you sorted. And I pulled in really early thinking, are they even going to, and I park right by the buses because no one's in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And I didn't even get the car and park. And someone walks out of the bus and points and goes, "Hey, Scotty." And they grab me and they go, "Let's go get your tickets and stuff." And we walk down in the arena and Bono and Edge walk up to him and start talking to him. And I'm like,
How is your body in
I'm
that
like
state?
just in awe. I don't.
Yeah.
It's a long time ago, but I don't remember
that
how
feeling?
I felt. But I can tell you what I said because he finally, Edge gestures like, "Who's this?" And he goes, "Oh, this is Scott. He's hilarious." And I look at both of them. I go, and then Bono's sort of like,
the
they're
monkey
like,
can't
come on, dance, monkey. And I'm like, not hilarious. And I walked away from them, and here's what struck me. I walked away from them. I had just met 2 of my heroes. They were very kind. It wasn't much of a conversation, but it didn't need to be. What struck me was I had just met 2 of my heroes, and I was more interested in learning about what the guy next to me does for a living than that. And I was like, oh, there's something here. And that night, the lights went out, and the crowd went wild. And I stood there in this cacophony of sound, like a Beatlemania moment of like the crowd was just nuts. And I'm standing by the soundboard because I was out there asking questions. And the crowd went nuts. And I had a paradigm shift that changed my life forever. I thought, oh my God, this is what you're going to do with your life. You love music. You love technology. You love the idea of seeing the world. Oh my God, this is incredible.
This is it.
And a moment later, my heart sank, and I thought, that to do this, I'm going to have to try. So I made myself a promise right then that I was going to start trying and never stop trying until I was on the road with U2.
Wow.
And that's the spark that lit my tenacity. And the things I went through to get there were nuts. And in the end, I didn't. But they've offered me a job on almost every tour since, which is kind of funny. I've never done it because I had my own company and couldn't. There were always reasons, and I was loyal to the company I was with. That was the first reason. But I'm so grateful that I found something I love, and at that rock bottom moment. But yeah, that's it. That's my origin story, if you will. That's when I started trying at 19 years old, and the anxiety attacks and all the things I went through, I can't tell you how many times I would just end up crying. And Yeah, I quit school. I sold my Super Sport Camaro. I quit my 3 jobs. I was always industrious. Had a really nice car for high school, nice, you know.
Yeah.
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 And moved into my Subaru Brat and started driving from city to city and sneaking in and working for free. I told them I was going to do it, and they were like, well, you won't be able to get in. They kind of laughed at me. And then every night there I was with the stagehands. And so for 5 weeks, I lived in my car, ate shit food, and while they were all sleeping on their bunks at night in the buses, I was driving all night, almost fell asleep and killed myself so many times. Was nearly arrested 3 times for sneaking in. But I tried. And it was hard, but yeah.
Were you, we have a little bit of kind of show pro adjacent experience. Were you just loading in and loading out in the beginning? Were you doing all the shit work?
Yeah, totally. Stagehand work. I didn't know what any of the stuff was, but they're like, this cable needs to be coiled. Okay. And they're like, oh, not like that, like this.
You got the elbow out?
Definitely not. No, over, under. But yeah, there's a lot of redundant work that needs to be done, right? And you know, these 30 cases of lights that are here need to be at the loading dock over there. Like I was learning to push cases and coil cables, but it was a start.
Yeah.
And that was my start in the industry.
Where in Show Pro, where did you, so from loading in, loading out to now being an owner of a company, where did you find your niche within that industry?
I decided I wanted to know all about it. So I did get into video.
Okay.
So 5 weeks in, the union, they're having a problem with the union in, I think, Buffalo. God, I better read my own book and remember what city. But they're having a problem with the union, and the union had heard about me. One of the guys was bragging on, we got this kid, right? But the union head was having a problem with him about something else. And he said, and I hear you have non-union labor touring with you. And they fined the band $5,000. So I'm around in the corner with a case, and one of the crew guys.
You're like, I didn't touch
And I'm like
it.
the mascot by now. I'm 5 weeks in. They're all rooting for me. Right. And one of the crew guys goes, drop the case, walk out the closest door. We'll see you in Pittsburgh. I'm like, what? And he goes, you get out the door.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
So I drive to Pittsburgh and sit in the parking lot, can't sleep, wait until the buses pull in. I hear the diesel engines and get out and sit on my hood. And one of them gets out of the I see the light on in the front lounge, and I come up onto the bus, and they all gather around me, and it's time for the Come to Jesus talk. They're like, look, here's what happened. And they're like, and I'm like, oh, God, $5,000. They're like, we don't think the band's going to have to pay it. Like, we're not, and it's not that much money to the band. The problem is this brought attention of your existence to upper management who's not happy with us for not making sure you're not there. They were like, look, this kid's going to fall asleep or hurt himself or get crushed behind a road case. His parents are going to sue us. Like, the kid's going to die. He's going to hurt somebody. Like, this can't happen anymore.
Yeah.
So that was my failure moment there. Not that there weren't a few along the way.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and that's all right.
How did you come back from that moment?
They asked me what I wanted to do sitting on the bus. And I said, I think video, which really surprised them because I had not worked in that. They were lighting and power were the guys I was working with. And they were like, why video? I said, video's brand new. And it was. The video had just shown up on live shows.
Can you imagine? Video was brand new.
They couldn't make the projectors bright enough. And General Electric broke the technology to make a projector that was an absolute nightmare to run. $250,000, but absolute nightmare. And back then, $250,000. And 2 weeks later, one of the guys, Lawrence Anderson, who I've reconnected with some of these guys, and it's been so fun because of the book. And Lawrence and I have reconnected, and we've had so much fun talking about it. But Lawrence said, video, why? I said, well, video is brand new, and so am I. So, you know, if I want to do lights or sound, I could get on the bottom rung of a very tall ladder. If I want to do video, I could get on the bottom rung of a 2-rung ladder. That just seems smart.
Yeah.
And I've had lots of time to think about it while I'm driving. Allergy. Welcome to allergy season in Nashville, Tennessee.
The pollen is thick as the day is long, honey. Yeah, we are too. Okay, so you've just written a book.
Yep.
And I would like, if you don't mind, for you to tell me what the heck you think is next since you've checked this box.
Yeah. I like writing. So, and I have a great editor. Hope Anelli has edited so many bestsellers. I'm so grateful for her and loved working with her. And she's like, "You're a writer. You should do more of this." So I might do more of that. I have a fiction book in my head, and I have definitely another self-help book in my head. I am releasing another album. The last album I did was a cover album because people like hearing me sing Johnny Cash. So I am releasing another album.
Where can people find that?
You can find me on Spotify, Scott Scovill. And yeah, if I were to pick a song to listen to, it might be I Hold the Light, which means a lot to me, or Try, which means a lot to me. Maybe make a movie. Yeah, Katie makes movies. I like that idea.
What genre do you think?
I had written, I was going to make a movie years ago when I became Brad's opening act on that festival. That kicked music into a second gear. So I was going to make a movie, and I was working towards that. I had written a script with my best friend Hunter, and it was a really fun script set in Ireland. And we were gonna shoot the first 10 minutes are set in America. We were gonna shoot the first 10 minutes, and then I had plans and was going to meet with the film people in Ireland and try and make that happen. And had a pretty well-known line producer said he was going to help me. Not line producer, amazing. He's doing For All Mankind right now. Bradley Thompson said he would help me, and he goes, "Yeah, let's do it." I'm like, "What do you mean, let's do it? I called you for advice." He goes, "We'll have fun. Let's do it. Just pick a time when I'm not busy." Like he's an amazing guy, amazing writer, producer.
Incredible.
And one of my friends, my favorite show on TV ever was Battlestar Galactica. So Aaron Douglas from Battlestar said, "Write me into it." So I wrote him in. Hadn't told Brad, but I had a place for Brad and Kim in it if they would be so willing. And then music took off, and that went on the back burner. So maybe it's time to move movies to the next thing. And I wanted to learn movies, but I didn't want to go to film school. That sounded boring. And at school, they tell you what to do, and even though I don't like that.
And from the beginning, you said you don't like to be told what to do.
So I executive produced a couple of films.
Oh.
Which is sounds like you're very responsible. Really, you just write a check.
Yes.
And but I said, "Look, I'll give you some money to help you make this film, but I want to be present. I want to be able to ask questions." So I did a really fun film called Heartbeats in India. I spent like 6 weeks in India and had an absolute blast doing that. And that had some cool, fun actors I knew. Paul McGillion from Stargate. Paulie and I are friends, and we put him in that. And Daphne Zuniga. The princess from Spaceballs.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yes.
That was fun. And then I co-executive produced a film with Jennifer Garner in it. And Jennifer is an amazing human. I was just, that was really fun. So maybe I'll make a movie. I don't know. I love music. I love writing. And I love Katie. And I love building the home we're in. We just moved into a new home. So I'm so many spinning plates right now. Might be enough right now.
It sounds quite enough for the average bear. You're quite prolific in the number of things that you've accomplished in your life. I can't even imagine being the type of creative person who has brought big, beautiful things into existence, and you're sitting here and going, "Gosh, I could do this. I could do that.
You can do anything." Hey, listener. You can do anything.
I always say,
go start that cooking show. Go get at it, whatever it is. Like, what's your favorite thing? Think about what your favorite thing is, and think, well, what could I do in that? My favorite thing was music, and I knew I couldn't do anything in music until I suddenly realized I could.
What are you most grateful for right now in this moment in your life?
That's a good question. I think that, the answer that popped in my head was love, as corny as that is. And I will say that is as obvious as my mom is still with me, and I love spending time with her. I'm so in love with Katie and our dogs, and I love my friends. But I also love me. And that's something I'm not sure was true. I think a lot of my engine was trying to prove something. I think I spent a lot of my life trying to prove, that I wasn't bad, because I think some of that hard wiring was in my head. And I feel beautifully that I'm at a place now where I don't feel like I need to prove that so much. It still feels good to scratch that itch. But now it's more about what would be fun. Like, what's fun? So, yeah, I think I'm grateful that I'm at a place where I'm comfortable and I'm doing things that I want to do and not things that I feel like I have to do. And so many things that we have to do, we don't actually really have to do. Like, if you asked young Scott, does he have to graduate college? He does. It's the only path to a decent life. He has to. And if he doesn't, it's not going to be okay. I didn't graduate college, and it turned out way better than okay. But in the moment,
okay.
and I say that in the book, like, if you ask me in this moment, I will tell you that this is death and I have to do this or else. But that's not true. And then I ask the reader, like, ask yourself, what are you telling yourself right now that you have to do, that you don't want to do, but you're telling yourself you have to?
That's a good question to ask. That's a really, really good question to ask yourself. I always say, as a joke, but it's true, you can do anything you want in this life. You can, be a jerk if you want to be a jerk.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that next.
Yeah.
Continue.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was inspired by that.
The people don't like it, Scott. They don't like it when people do that. So
who cares
I'd
what
say
they
no.
think? What if I like it?
What if right now you farted?
I can't. I don't have it in me.
Okay, this is the last question. Are you, let me check the time and make sure. Okay, I might get you out a little bit earlier than stated, so I hope I get +5 extra points for that.
Yeah, because I hate this. I can't wait to leave. I'm having a great time. You do whatever you need to do. I do have another podcast. I'm okay.
I mean,
take your time.
Just another podcast. Busy man. No big deal.
Yeah, 2 a day is tough.
Yeah.
But you got me first. I'll be asleep in the next one.
Good. They can have our leftovers.
Yeah.
No, you're going to be fabulous. Okay. So I always ask people, not every time, but some of the time, is there a question or a topic that we didn't talk about today that you'd like to talk about, or something you want to be asked? And the reason I ask it, and this is not just for people who have something big they want to talk about, is, even just in our daily lives, sometimes we're not seen in the way we want to be seen. Or one gentleman that we had on said, I wish people would ask me, how are you? And really want to hear the answer. So that was a really fun way to respond to that. So I'm asking you.
That's really nice.
Is there anything that I haven't asked, or something that
I think we started down a path of things that I never talk, because everybody knows who I am as an entrepreneur, or maybe they know about my music. So that's it. That's all I ever get. But there's so much more than that in the book. And we started talking about the introspection and the therapy and the working on yourself, with you being the most important ingredient in your life. I mean, obvious, but do you really think about it? But it's true.
Yeah.
So if you can make yourself a better person in any way, wouldn't that just be great for you? And so that EMDR therapy, we touched on something, and about my dad. We were working on Lee's death, and Ginger I said, can we table that? I'm exhausted. And I really wasn't sure I was ready. And my dad was still alive, and we were working through, And then the pandemic happened. So I want to tell you this story.
Please do.
Isn't it a surprising one? The pandemic happened, and my thing was fear of failure, and I believe I beat that kind of like an alcoholic beats alcoholism. You just do it every day, and
over and over again.
Yeah, and by learning that failure wasn't so bad was how I did that. But during the pandemic, there were all these people were counting on me, and when you're in live entertainment, your income goes to zero. So I spent 18 months trying to survive and take care of everybody. And I couldn't do both completely, and by the end, hardly at all. So I spent 18 months thinking, who am I going to next tell that they won't receive a check? Who am I going to next tell that I've cut their pay by another amount? And it was a slow death for me. It brought back my old fear that I kept beating. That fear beat me for 18 months, and I was not okay. I mean, in the end, I was down to like 9 employees who were working for quarter pay or none, who were just showing up. And we barely made it. The banks were calling in our loans. Like, we barely made it through the pandemic. And a friend of mine said, "You're not okay." And I'm like, yeah, it was just a surprising friend, not someone you would expect. Came up and said, "You're not okay." Kind of like Jeff did all those years ago, but it wasn't Jeff. And I said, "No." And he said, I've been doing some stuff that's really been great for me. Can I tell you about it? I'm like, "Yeah, please." And so he starts describing this thing. And I'm like, what is he talking about? He's talking about, like he's being kind of voodoo-ish and spiritual, which is
woo-woo.
not what I would expect from this person.
Yeah.
I know this is really vague, but it'll all come together here in a second.
Is it Jesus?
It's not Jesus.
Okay.
But it's kind of. It's definitely not Jesus. But
It's not Jesus.
Then he says something about, and there's this, and you take this medicine, and I go, "Oh, what medicine?" And he said, "Well, they don't tell you." And I'm like, "What do you mean they don't tell you?"
I love where this is going.
What the medicine is. And he said, "Well, And I'm like, whoa.
Is it mushrooms?
I go, "You're talking about drugs."
Yes.
And he goes, "Well, they call it medicine in this trade." And I'm like, "No, no way."
He said trade.
And he didn't say trade. Yeah, I misspoke that. But he said they call it medicine. And I'm like, "Nope." I said, "Look, I've spent my whole life in the music business, and I have somehow managed to never do drugs. My
That's a
dad
feat.
was an alcoholic, and my dad was addicted to cigarettes, and there's no way in the world that I'm ever going to do drugs."
You were a no before you were, I'm guessing, a yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. And he said, "Well, but you're a curious person, and this whole thing meant a lot to me. Do you mind if I tell my story?" And I'm like, "I would love to hear your story. If you could just switch it from sales pitch to story." And he made it a story, and then it shifted back into sales pitch, and I stopped him again. And he said, "Okay, sorry." And I was fascinated, and I walked away, and I said, "I'm never doing that." And I was so curious. And I have told you, it's really important to me that I see who I am. And the way I put it in my head, I was like, God, it's like my friend has offered me a mirror, and I'm telling him I'm not going to look.
Okay.
And so I read a book by Michael Pollan called How to Change Your Mind, and I read a few other books.
Was this in what he was talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we guess, right? What is medicine? No one's saying. And so, so
I'm on pins and needles right now.
So fast forward, 3 months later, maybe.
Okay.
3 months later, I show up at this facility. And they're like, "Take these." I'm like, "What's this?" And they're like, "That's just this is a precursor. This will get you going." And I'm like, "Okay." And then 3 hours later, they come and sit with me, and they're like, "Okay." And we're talking about my stuff, and they're like, "Have one of these." And I'm like, "Okay,
Was
what's
this
this?"
a monitored environment, right? A
Very
safe
monitored.
space.
A doctor and a nurse there.
Okay.
Yeah. Very monitored, very safe. I traveled a distance to this place. I shan't reveal where it was.
And you shouldn't.
For the protection of all, but a wonderful, well-run place who wouldn't see me until I did some therapy with them leading in to get me on target, and told me, we will not allow you back here to do any more therapy if you don't do this huge chunk of therapy with our person afterwards. We're not here to send you on a ride. We're here to help you help yourself. And very important. And I've learned since then there are a lot of places that aren't like that, and I really appreciate this place. And then 10 minutes later, a little timer goes off, and they're like, take this, and they won't tell you what any of it is. And this
Truly,
is terrifying to me.
You did not know.
I did not know.
You know now,
I still
right?
don't know.
No.
I still don't know.
No way.
Still don't know. And I know.
Does your friend know?
I know enough to know. Well, in my mind, there were like, there's mushrooms, there's ayahuasca,
there's
LSD,
ketamine.
there's ketamine, there's this. And I had like 6 or 7 things. Well, in reading about it since then, I've learned there's like 327 known psychedelics and more every day. So we don't really know.
And okay.
Yeah.
Hang on. I'm processing over here.
And so.
You didn't know going in. Excuse me.
Yeah.
You didn't know going in.
Yeah.
You didn't know while experiencing it.
And I still don't know.
And you still don't know.
I don't need to know.
My palms are sweating right now because this is also my personal nightmare.
Well, here's how bad it is.
Okay.
I lay down. They put blinders on you that are away from your eyes, so your eyes can be open. Your eyelashes won't hit them. And they put blinders on you, and they put headphones on you, and they crank a playlist that Johns Hopkins built for psychedelic work. And I'm laying there with the headphones around my neck and the blinders up on my forehead, and the nurse goes, "Hey, this next thing's going to hit you pretty fast." And I'm like, "Okay, here we go." I'm tearing up again. We're having another powerful moment with Scott. And I'm like, "Whew!" And I am so freaking scared. And I'm wearing 2 recorders, a main and a backup, to record everything I say, because they said you'll have a hard time remembering, if at all. And I'm like, okay, that's not scary. And I lay back, and they hit me with that last thing, and I exploded. Everything just went crazy. And I had some wild visions. And if you listen to my transcript, I am saying I am so scared, and my voice is shaking, and I am terrified. And I'm seeing things and all of this. And then about 10 minutes in, I'm like, I feel like a membrane just passed over me, and I'm just inside this sphere that's maybe 15 feet around. It's black in here. I don't know how I know I'm in this. There's something in the middle. It's me. The moment I said it's me, in my mind, I was then in the middle of this sphere, sitting there in the black with me. And I said, what do I do with me? They told me to lead with gratitude. Okay, I'm grateful to my friend for telling me about this place. I'm grateful to the people here taking care of me, because there's people watching over you. You can't tell they're there anymore, but they are. And I go, and I'm grateful for me that I do the scary things. And I go, I do the scary things. And I'm not the person I used to be. And I went on a 5-hour and 20-minute run-on sentence as fast as I could in this state. And I told myself who I am. And I told myself who my dad was. And I told myself who his father was, which is really as far back as I know. And I could see the pain and hurt just flowing through the generations.
You mean physically?
I didn't.
You were experiencing.
I didn't experience a visual experience of that.
Okay.
But I could understand. I could comprehend.
Like a feeling.
Fully understood how this pain had been flowing down and how I had stopped it. And that I wasn't that person. But I could see all the things that it did to me. And how I probably wasn't being my truest self, because I was trying to get over all of these things. I was gifted this incredible perspective of who I am without a lot of me in the way. So scientifically,
Ooh, that's deep.
A lot of our ego, who we are, not like as an egomaniac ego, who we are, lives in the default mode network. And what I learned from the books I read is that these medicines put that part of your brain on standby. They're like, hey, I know you're the gatekeeper, but that part of my brain not only tells me who I am, but it tells me how to see the world. And it chooses where I put up walls, and it chooses where I put up windows. And I thought I had a pretty good view of the world, but there were some huge blind spots. I say the world, me. I saw me in a different way, in a way that wasn't tainted by all that hard wiring that had been pounded into me. And, you know, that whole part of my brain comes back online 5 hours and 20 minutes later. And I totally remember how to be me, the exact me I was. But moving forward, as I'm making decisions on how to see myself in the world, as I start to do what I've always done, I go, oh, but I also have this memory of this other way to feel and think about me in the world. And that one actually feels more true. What if I reinforce that pathway and start doing that? And it was just an incredible experience. I'm so grateful I did it. I was brave enough to look in the mirror, and everyone says you're going to love what you see. And I think I will say that, why was I so scared? I told you I was afraid I was going to be addicted. I was. And all the things will tell you these things are not addictive at all, and I can speak to that. There's absolutely no desire. Like, you come out of it and you think, I'm never going to do this again. But I'm so glad I did.
It's a one and done.
It's not a one and done, but it's not something you crave. Like, I've done it again, but way far apart. Like, it's been a year now since I've done it. But way far apart, you start to go like, you know, I probably could work on this. It just becomes a tool.
Yeah.
So you're not addicted. I was afraid I was going to embarrass myself. I was afraid I was going to say something or do something embarrassing. Who cares? I was afraid I was going to wet the bed. Who cares?
That's right.
I didn't. You don't. But
women poop when they give birth.
yeah, I heard that. Yeah, I heard that. What I really was afraid of was I was afraid I would see me and not like what I saw.
Oh, there it is.
I saw me. I'm not perfect, but I loved me.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I'm curious. You mentioned a few books.
Ooh, before I forget.
Yes, please.
This is a bit of a controversial subject.
Give it to us.
No, my guests don't know that it's in the book. So forgive me, guests, if you are adamantly against this, but they did not know that I wrote about this, other than Hendo, the Navy SEAL, who's in that chapter, who talks about his PTSD and how he worked through it with psychedelics beautifully. The rest of my guests don't know about it. Please continue.
What were you said you did some reading beforehand.
Yeah.
If you feel comfortable, will you share what those books were?
Yeah, I'm terrible at names, and I don't carry around physical books. I do audiobooks so often.
Oh, yeah.
So I can't, let's see, Pai Cal, that one was more scientific. That is one of the guys who's been categorizing and learning about and building and designing psychedelics, and that was more for my science brain. I think really a great start is How to Change Your Mind. Don't watch the Netflix special. The author doesn't even like how it edited out. But Michael Pollan's a great documentarian and a really cool human, and he just wrote a book on consciousness, which I've been reading. It's mind-blowing. But Michael Pollan's book would be a great start.
Okay.
And honestly, tenacious. You know, there's a whole chapter that delves into this a lot. And I will say I felt compelled to volunteer at the facility, and I have led almost 40 people through. You know, the doctors and the nurses are in charge, but you're there for psychological support. And I was the most afraid of anyone I've seen. No one was even close to as afraid. There have been people who are very afraid, but not as scared as me. Everybody loves themselves. It's so, like, my biggest fear, like, everyone goes, yeah, that's me. Like, it ain't perfect, but it's me. Okay, I knew that was me. And it's a tool to help you be the truest version of yourself, I think, and to truly understand and also rewire some of that hardwiring and crap.
So tell me, coming out of that, obviously you're a fan of the experience.
Yep.
If you volunteer there.
Used to. Yeah. My mom now needs me, and so I spend a lot of time with my mom.
Are you a caretaker for her?
She has dementia, and I spend a lot of time up there with her, and I don't have much free time, so I was given my free time to flying to that place. Instead, I fly up to see my mom. So and that's okay. That's where I want to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Someday I could see me volunteering there again, because I just feel like we helped so many people, and it was just a beautiful experience. It just felt so good.
Is it costly, that experience?
Yeah, the cost varies. Place like where I went, it's really expensive. 14 grand, I believe, is the current price.
Thanks for being so open about that.
Yeah, but there are honest, trustworthy, great people doing it for a lot less, with a lot less of the support around it. Like the therapy that you get afterwards is a very expensive therapy, and that's a part of the package. Like it's all built in.
How long
because
was
they
the
want
process?
You to do all of it. The process was about 4 months.
4 months.
So you got about a month of lead in, and you really do some work leading in. And it's not that they just guide you there. There's not like heavy sessions. And then you do that process, and then you've got about 3 months of going through. You have to go through your transcript with somebody and go through it and talk about it with that counselor. And that is a lengthy period. Some people have 400 words. I had 28,000 words or something crazy. Like I did not stop talking for 5 hours and 20 minutes.
Was there ever, or is there, like a privacy concern? Is this protected by the therapeutic modalities where it's all like your transcript is safe and
yeah, no, it's
everything's
not,
secure?
Yeah, it's not like it's not, they're not licensed, right? So there's a doctor and a nurse. Don't have to worry about them. They have taken an oath. But there are other people at the facility like me that I have taken no such oath, but go ahead and ask me about my patients. And I would tell you, no, I'm not going to tell you about them or their lives or their problems.
Yeah.
I will tell you that they were wildly diverse. Some of them flew in on their jets, and some of them went in on scholarship. About a third of the people that go there go on scholarship. The people on the jets, we say like, hey, we noticed you have a jet. How do you feel? Like, did you have a good experience? And they're like, God, yes. Yeah. How do you feel about giving that to somebody else? And so some of those guys will go, yeah, every time I go, send somebody else.
Oh,
and
neat.
so we were connected with, I say we, I'm not a part of it anymore, but the military would send us people, not directly, but a liaison from them, serious cases of PTSD. There was a sheltered women's thing too. And I've listened to some amazing things unfold in the room. But at the end of the day, we find that we're all so much alike and all fighting so many of the same little things.
It sort of sounds like tapping. I always think of this when I hear people talk about whether it's a near-death experience or a psychedelic experience, where it's like, it feels like the idea of touching whatever God is, right? Like God energy.
Yeah. Not with this recipe, but there's another recipe that does feel like that, and I have done that. And
so there's a whole other different.
Oh yeah, and that yeah.
You can have the lasagna or the cheeseburger.
Yeah, this is all geared towards, and most psychedelic work is geared towards,
Meeting yourself?
towards seeing yourself and working with yourself, right? For all these reputable places, but I kept hitting a wall, and I knew of another path. And I decided to go down that path. And so I did something called, and I knew what this was. Well, I won't say it out loud, but I did something that is a total erasure of self and consciousness. And as I put it afterwards, I cannot describe the experience, but I have spent a lifetime being Scott. So I've spent my entire life being Scott, and I've spent most of that time trying to work through some hardwiring and pain and who I am and trying to get over those things. And then one afternoon, I spent eternity I spent forever. I spent infinity being perfect as I was, perfectly in love with me, perfectly a part of the universe. It's so, I can't do it justice, but it's what I needed, and I actually don't recommend it for most people. But I was wounded enough, I couldn't get over it. And so this was the medicine that I feel like I needed. I don't think I'll ever do it again. I was so glad I did it in the moment. It's a bit untethering. It makes the real world almost not real. And there's a whole challenge to that we could probably do a whole podcast on.
We sure could.
But no regrets. It's all part of Scott's path, the good, the bad, and the whatever. And I do think that I completely healed my child traumas in that half hour that I spent forever being my soul. How's that for spooky? That doesn't make sense to any of the listeners, but just...
maybe it does. Maybe it does. Maybe it does.
Yeah, and honestly, as great as it was, I don't know that I recommend that for everybody.
Yeah.
The other, I think, is wonderful for anybody who just wants to be the best version of themselves and is brave enough to try.
Well, it's still, both of these things are a secret. I'm hoping when the cameras are off and the microphones are off, you'll give us the pro tips. But
maybe
the internet is vast, and
yes.
I'm sure
Just ask ChatGPT, it knows all about it.
Yeah. You will find ways to figure out what Scott's talking about. But thank you again so much for being here.
Yeah, it was really nice getting to know you. You're just fun. Life's fun, right? Life's fun.
It is a pretty darn
Especially
good time.
when you share it. So thanks for sharing it.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Our show is executive produced by Sherry Day,